There we go. All right. Whoops. All right, let me open this up. Okay. Okay. That should set that up. All right. Hi, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. All right. I think, yeah, there we go. It looks like there was an issue with the Zoom scheduler, so sorry about that. Hopefully everyone, it looks like the link still works perfectly fine. So I'm just going to make sure that I edited that and hopefully then we are good to go. All right. Okay. So recording. All right. All set. Awesome. Hi. Oh, perfect, Suzanne. I'm glad to hear that that you had no problem getting in. Um, oh man, I hope you had a lovely holiday weekend. Um, yeah, it was really hot here in New York City. Really, really warm. So, whew, but I took the time to get some of the maintenance for our propagations done. So I definitely want to share some updates with everyone. Let me see here. Um, and firstly, uh, a few weeks ago, it was like 3 weeks ago, I think, I did a class from our kitchen and I was talking about being patient with propagations. And I had shown this cutting of a global green pothos that I had. Um, and it was a one leaf cutting and it'd been a one leaf cutting for like a year. And then it finally gave me this leaf here. And when I got it, it was a reverted global green. So it was just green. Um, but when it came out with this leaf, it's hard to get on camera, but you can see there is some variegation. There's some splashing right here. So I got excited and I said, all right, well, there's a little bit of variegation. Very cool. And I just yesterday, the main mother leaf finally turned yellow and it was just ready to come off. So I just did a little gentle tug. It came off. Uh, but this last week, it gave me a second leaf. And now this leaf, it's hard to see, but it has a lot more variegation on it. You can see the variegation on it. Uh, so maybe through the back, yeah, there we go. You can really see it through the back. So, patience patience and hope. And I got that cutting for free. It was a freebie because it was reverted. Um, and I'm so happy that it still has some variegation to it. It's absolutely beautiful. I was very excited to see that. And yeah, it's uh, it's always a joy. It's always a joy. Thank you. Yeah, it's always nice when you have some like really cool uh happenings with plants when you have a little bit of hope. Um Another update I wanted to show was the moss. So also a few weeks back I was talking about how I had gotten a bunch of moss and I was going to put them into containers. And so I used this one was like for celery. Um, And I used some containers here. So I have leca on the bottom with a layer of peat on top. And then all of the moss, I put the moss, you press down firmly to kind of get it really like compacted in there. And then you give it a good watering. I really haven't had to mist much because as you can see from the condensation here, um, it's really holding in moisture wonderfully. Uh, and it's been doing great. Look at that. Uh, and this is some type of like cushion moss that came, I believe it was in from Arkansas, and it's been doing really wonderfully. And so my goal is to actually cultivate it more because I want to add more live moss to my terrariums where I have with my pets. So with like my geckos, with my frogs, I would love to have, and even like the isopods, I would love to have live moss because one, it traps in more moisture, which is always great. But two, it's also kind of enrichment and it's something edible. So even though the geckos and the frogs aren't interested, it's something that my isopods can be interested in. And the cleanup crews that are in the other tanks, so there are springtails and things, they could find food amongst the moss and any moss patches that die off, they would just eat it. So it's like a little enclosed ecosystem, and so that's what I'm hoping to do with all this moss. So it looks so beautiful, so green. It's been doing wonderfully. So I have this one, and then I have a few containers. I just brought one just so you could see, but it was from the restaurant. So these containers from restaurants, and so I had told Brian I was like, we need to get teriyaki just a few more times because I needed the I needed the containers. So I was like, hey, you want to get teriyaki for lunch? Just because I knew then I would get these containers. But look at that condensation. So it's holding the moisture in wonderfully. And look at this. It's gorgeous. And I have had no mold issues whatsoever. I have new growth coming in. If you could see this like lone one that's really growing. Um, been a bunch of new growth. It's so fluffy and happy so far. There's even like dew that's like stuck on the moss, but it's been doing wonderfully. I haven't really had to like water them much. It really hold in moisture well. I do air them out every few days. I make sure I check, I open it, I make sure that everything's looking okay in case I do need to add water. But I really haven't had to. And I am thinking of adding springtails to these little setups just in case there is ever some like mold or anything like that, that they would be able to combat it and I wouldn't have to worry about it. Um, but I absolutely love this, and I've been so happy that it's actually been growing really well for me. This is my first time actually like growing moss in this way. I've definitely never grown it to this capacity. I've had like little terrariums with like a little bit of moss, but like this much. I've never had that this much where I have a bunch of these. So, um, so far this experiment is going really well. And again, all I'm doing is it's well, let me use it from the other side. Hold on. Let me put this down. Can't drop that. Here we go, better. I wasn't able to remove all of the the celery sticker thing on the side here. Um, but it's just leca. But if you don't have leca, you could definitely use something like perlite. You just want a drainage layer. So perlite is fine. Even just stones. Stones is fine. Oh, no worry, Terry. Oh, why am I growing moss? Yeah, happy to say. So, I've been trying to make I have a lot of terrariums because we have We have our like White's tree frog. We have yellow-headed geckos. We have a crested gecko. Our leopard gecko is more on the dry side, so I don't think she would really appreciate moss. However, I am thinking they do like some kind of corner to be really wet. So what I had done is I actually had dry sphagnum moss that I put in a corner, and I put a little cave on top, and I keep that moist. And so she goes in there whenever she really wants to kind of get humid. This is important for certain types of lizards because they have to shed their skin. And if they're too dry, it can make the whole process like really just suck. They can't effectively get the skin off, and it can get caught like over their eyelids because the whole animal sheds. So the skin around their eyes, everything, their toes, and it can get stuck, and it makes it very it can be very dangerous. It can cut off air, like blood circulation and things. So I'm thinking I might actually make her a live moss corner, like in a little container, kind of like this, but taller, I'm thinking, with a hole. And what I'll do is I'll have it where it's like deeper, so the hole is like up here, and it's taller, so that if she does want to get humidity, he can go in, but it's live instead of the like basically the dead sphagnum moss. So I am thinking that for my leopard gecko, but for my other like the other animals, they love humidity. They want all the humidity. And so I mix sphagnum moss into their terrarium mixes. And then I keep that damp, not completely damp. You kind of create like a gradient. You kind of wet one side, leave one side dry. And live moss, one, will help hold in moisture. And two, it will help actually feed any beneficial organisms that you have in your tanks. So for some of the tanks, like our crested gecko tank, for instance, and even our yellow-headed gecko tank, I had added what's called BioShot. And so it's like beneficial mycorrhizal fungi, bacteria, and archaea that are beneficial to ecosystems. And then of course in all our tanks we have a cleanup crew. So we have like springtails and isopods. Well, not in the leopard gecko tank because again she likes it to stay pretty dry. And so unfortunately those little guys, they need moisture to survive. So uh, one, it's good to feed them, but it's also enrichment. So it kind of gives their tank a more natural feel. It's something, where it's a different textile surface. And, I definitely want to make sure that our animals are, living a really comfortable life. And so I want to try to like replicate the like the terrain essentially of what their actual ecosystem would look like. So moss is something that I would love to incorporate that's actually live moss because I use sphagnum moss, but that's like dead and dry. I use things like reindeer moss and things, but again, it's all dry. It's like preserved moss. And a lot of those mosses actually have just dyes, like they're actually dyed. And so if you keep, if you're putting a lot of water in your tank, um, I, there's debate on how any chemicals could leach out from those types of mosses. So I rather not play around and just try to yeah, have some live moss. But I had never grown it in this capacity. So this was a couple weeks back. I had shown that I had some Ziploc bags. I still have one Ziploc bag, and I was just trying to see how it would grow in Ziploc, and it's been fine. But I do want to. I'm like I'm gonna put it into one of these. But it's been growing fine. I was trying to experiment to see if that worked. But yeah, it's been doing super well. It's super healthy, and I'm very pleasantly surprised. And yeah, I want to do a whole class on mosses, like what kinds of mosses and how you grow them. It's been really awesome. I looked up quite a few different methodologies on how to grow moss, and I kind of took a little bit from different people, and I was like, all right, so consensus is having a drainage layer. Plastic containers tend to work really well because they lock in moisture. Um, and having a layer of peat. So I do have a bag of peat. I don't buy new peat. So I have this bag of peat that I still had. And so I was like, all right, I'll put it to some use. I also, I forgot, I actually added a little bit of worm castings as well. So worm castings add some some nutrition as well in the peat layer, and also added, now that I remember, I added a little bit of horticultural charcoal as well. And so that helps one, like any odors. Some people don't like it's like a mud odor. This doesn't have any scent whatsoever. The closest I could say is like maybe like moist earth, kind of, but not really. Not like a bad mud smell or anything like that. It's really basically odorless. Yeah, it's been doing really great. Here we go. You could see all that new growth on top. It's so fuzzy, but it's been doing so great. And I've been having a lot of fun cultivating the moss. I was really kind of worried there because I was like, all right, I've never grown it to this scale. And when I ordered, the eBay listing said it was 3 bags, but then I ended up getting like 4 big bags, and I was like, oh, this is a lot more moss than I was expecting. So I was kind of like, all right, let me try to figure this out so that I don't lose it all. But it's been doing wonderfully. It's been growing great. It's anchored in there. Um, and you could just see, so they were kind of in mounds. So I kind of did some moss Tetris in these containers, but look how healthy it is. I am so happy with this. And yeah, and the goal is it's already starting to establish when they start to put up kind of their version of flowers. Um, so they kind of shoot up these little they kind of look like little spore capsules, um, and they have them all above, and then uh, they start kind of propagating themselves. You'll see new growth. And then what's great about that is once they go through that first generation, that generation that you receive, that you kind of get started, in when you're doing this process, now that is more acclimated to your conditions at home, and it makes it much hardier. So that's what I'm essentially waiting, is that I want it to kind of do another cycle, and then it'll start kind of filling in any of these little blank patches. And then as that happens, I can remove patches, leave empty room, and it will just continue filling in. And this like little self-sustaining little ecosystem that I'm creating for them. And I mentioned earlier that I am considering adding springtails. There has been no issue with mold whatsoever. But just in case, just to kind of make sure that I have that covered in case, I'm thinking about throwing in some springtails. And then the springtails, even if there's no mold, they won't go hungry because underneath, under the patches of the moss is like dead decomposing moss. So essentially moss grows like in layers. And so there's stuff for the springtails to break down. And so they won't go hungry. And then if anything were to arise in terms of mold or anything, they would take care of it. They would handle it, and I wouldn't have to worry about it. So yeah, that's this really cool moss experiment that I've been doing. I'm really happy with how this is growing. And I had said I have these in these containers. Yes, Suzanne, I do need to find a restaurant supply store. I use a lot of I end up recycling a lot of stuff. So like I save the little pint containers for like if you get takeout. uh, because those are great for bottom watering. They work for a lot of like the pot sizes that I have, and it's great. They work really well as reservoirs as well, to put into your display pot. So you can find a pot that you really like and you can put that inside, and then you put your plant, and then you can bottom water that way. So without having to remove the plant or anything like that, you can just have like a little reservoir in there. So I love doing that. I curb myself definitely. So I only have enough that fits on that little shelf, and then that's it. I recycle the rest, or a lot of them I've actually given a bunch away. So here in Astoria, for instance, there's an Astoria plant giving group. So definitely try to see if you have one in your area, like a plant giving group. But here you can just post things for free. So I've that's how I've been able to find homes for old nursery pots, for a lot of those containers. For a bunch of stuff like plant tape, even excess potting mix that I've had. Like I wasn't using vermiculite anymore. I had started using vermiculite, and then I didn't really like it. But now I had this huge like 20-pound bag, and I had maybe used just like a pound of it. So yeah, I was able to find someone that was doing seed starting, and they needed the vermiculite. So yeah, you end up finding folks, you post it up, and it's a wonderful way to kind of repurpose this stuff, make sure that instead of it getting tossed away, because it definitely has a use. But yeah, so recycling these containers, for instance, for this, and recycling this for the moss as well. And now I have a bunch of these full of moss. And so far so good. It's a little heavy. It's a little heavy, but it's really doing wonderfully. So I'm happy about that. And I also wanted to show you the another reason why I like to save these. And I have one that I have to finish setting up today, but these are just great for propagation. So in general, um, and so like for instance, this I just filled up. I haven't done anything with, but I want to show you what I do with them. And so if you've been here for a while, you might know this trick that I use. And usually what I was doing is I was using a plant saucer, not terracotta, but the ceramic ones, the ones that you put under your pots to catch the water. Terracotta, I wouldn't suggest. One, I've experimented with it, and I found it dries out too quickly. It just doesn't hold the amount of water for the amount of time that I like. Also, if you put like a nice amount of water in there, it does kind of leach out a little bit on the surface. So if you have like a wood table, or even for me it was my windowsill, and I was like, okay, no, ceramic definitely works better in that regard to kind of keep the water in there. And then I just put a plastic dome over them, and that's how I would have these propagations. But then I started using these containers instead, and that's just how I've been doing it. So basically, same container, but what this is for succulent propagation. And so my methodology of succulent propagation, I've told this story a couple times. So if you're new here, it'll be new information. Otherwise, it's a review. But basically, I was having just a horrible time getting my succulents to just root for me successfully. And I tried all these things because gosh, this was like 2014, 2015. I was really, really trying to start my succulents like from little leaves, like the little phylloclades. I was really just trying to start them from there. Um, and I was doing what it would say online. It was like just put them in a circle in dirt, do this. Like it was all like just soil. Just put them directly into soil, directly into soil. And I was just keeping it either too damp or I wasn't keeping it damp enough. And I just kept having a lot of losses. It just a bunch of them would either shrivel up or they would just turn gelatinous and rot. And I was like, okay, what is happening? What there has to be like another way to do it. And then I got the idea to use some leca. And so at that time, I wasn't using leca for plants at all. I was using leca for my tanks. So I've used it for my fish tanks for years. I've used it as drainage layers for my animal terrariums. So I was familiar with leca, but never in a plant capacity. And so what I started to do is I filled a saucer with some leca and I maneuvered my little succulent cuttings on them. And then I used a squeeze bottle and I filled it just under the surface, so not covering the leca. And I started to do that. And then I did a year-long experiment where I had one that was not covered and one that was covered in a plastic dome. I'll have to find those photos, but the one that wasn't covered, it did grow, but a lot of them were still shriveled. It didn't look as healthy as the ones that I actually kept covered. The ones I kept covered, it was like a little mini succulent jungle in there, and they were supple and full, and they just looked really, really healthy in comparison to the ones that I did not have covered. So, yeah, I just like, all right, I'm gonna do this covered, and that's how I've been kind of starting a bunch of my propagations. And so I had ordered like a bunch of cuttings, and a lot of these come with like little leaves. Also, you know, any ones that are here from the house, if I'm moving a plant and I lose one, I'm like, oh my gosh, but it has the capacity to potentially, right, full of potential to be another little plant. So yeah, I set them up and then they start growing really well. So these were ones that I had set up and they're already seeing growth. So here it's just a bunch of props, but you can see, there you go. So they have their little roots there. Oh, here we go. Against the black there, it's more visible. And they're already starting to get that little rosette. But they really start to grow super well. They start to send their roots inside, and I have quite a few that have these little rosettes. This one's a little bit taller. There you go. But you can see there's a bunch of them that already have their rosettes. The ones that don't have rosettes have roots at least. So they're on their way. They're on their way. But this is just a great way where the surface stays relatively dry, and so I don't have to worry about the rot. But then they send their roots beneath a little deeper, and by keeping just that kind of bottom layer saturated, you know, with water, they just kind of make their way. They anchor to the leca really well, and so that also helps when I'm putting them into a new pot once the roots are big enough. But it starts them off really, really well, and it just works so quickly. I have experimented with other types of substrates, so I have done it with perlite successfully. I've done it with well, of course, pon. I haven't tried stratum yet. I have used ceramsite, which are these little, they're also made of like the same clay as the leca, but they're not as porous. Let me see, who do I have that's in ceramsite to show you? Oh, the tetrasperma is in ceramsite. Look at that root. It's so furry. Those root hairs, they look amazing, but that root is just crazy. But this is ceramsite. So you can get different colors, whatever color you like. And I got the multicolored option because I was like, that's pretty. So anything that fits your aesthetic. They can come in all white if you prefer that. They can come in like that Leica Adobe brown. There's blues, greens, pinks, yellows. So you can choose whichever you like. But I have found it really works great with propagations. And so I've started succulents in ceramsite. I've started just regular cuttings in ceramsite. And it just really helps with root growth. It works really, really well. But this Tetrasperma is doing super well. Um, Brian, his cutting, the leaf had turned yellow. Um, so I cut it off, but it's already there you go. It has a little growth point there. So that's coming along, and his roots are crazy. So even more roots than the one that I have that actually has a leaf. Mine has it same plant, same cutting, same time. So this is just to show it really each cutting is different. Each it's yeah, same spot. So uh and this one I didn't even put ceramsite in it. I was like, you know what, let me just pop it into water. It was one of those where I was like, oh man, it's turning yellow. I clipped it and I put it into water, and then I thought, oh, I'll come back and put some ceramsite in it, and I forgot. And then a couple days later, I was looking at it and I saw the root, and I was like, oh, I'll just let it hang out like that. And so far, it has even more roots. You can see the root hairs. It kind of looks like a blur around each root. And so those are the root hairs. And this happens in your soil, and they're very, very, very sensitive. So this is why, just repotting, all that can be pretty disastrous. Of course, it's needed, of course, but uh, we can end up really disrupting those root hairs. So we have to be as gentle as possible. But yeah, it's been doing super, super well. So this one is just water. Um, yeah. So far, so good. But yeah, I've tried with ceramsite, and I've also done succulents with lava rock as well. So yeah, I've had success with a lot with this type of propagation. Um, I've done a couple experiments, and I really love being able to do that. Like for instance, this is actually a mix. So this is right by a window, so it's a little tinged green because of algae, but this root system is pretty intense. And this is that global green. Um, I really love the variegation on that leaf. Um, and it looks like there is another leaf on its way as well. So a year of just being one leaf. Uh, like, and it just decided, hey, I'm gonna grow this season. But this is actually a mix. So I was just kind of playing around here. So the bottom here is perlite. So it's like perlite. You can kind of see the change here. So this is all perlite. And then the top is actually this type of like aquarium substrate. Um, and so I wanted to put something thicker on the top that isn't very porous, so it wouldn't suck up a lot of water so that the top didn't stay really moist. And it also weighs down the perlite, because the perlite, if you put it in water, it kind of floats. It has like this styrofoam kind of texture to it. So it's very buoyant. And so this also weighs it down. But also I just didn't want something that really soaked up and held a lot of water at the top. And so it's like a little amalgamation of two different substrates here. But it's worked great. Just the root growth is insane. It's been really, really happy. I have it in a western window pulled away, and it's been doing great. Yeah, and I love having that set up. And another way that I've propagated also with this kind of layering technique, I'll show you guys this plant. This is my philodendron. I think it's a Crassinervium, I want to say. Yep. Here we go. Don't want to tip a bunch of plants over. So this started as a one leaf cutting. The mother leaf has since passed away. This was some damage when I fell, and the poor plant was a victim of everything falling off the shelf with me. And so this leaf got damaged, but it's been over a year. The leaf is growing fine and it's working fine, but it will perpetually have this damage on it. But this is the brand new leaf right here, and it already has another leaf on the way with these leaves, and it's very succulent. It has kind of like a Peperomia hoya type of texture to it. So it's really cool. It's one of my, it's, well, no, I think it is my oddest philodendron, definitely. I have a few philodendrons here, but I think this does indeed take the cake for the weirdest one. But this setup was actually an experiment as well. And this was all perlite. So this was all perlite with a substrate at the base, which was a mix of worm castings, um, coco coir. What else did I put in there? Leca, horticultural charcoal. Um, yeah, and what else did I put in there? Yeah, worm castings. Oh, and yeah, coco coir, and and some wood chips. So orchid bark. But I purposely took kind of like the bottom bit. I really wanted, like, I didn't want big chunky pieces given the size, so I took kind of like the stuff at the bottom of the bag, that kind of, the smaller tips, put that in there, and then I put this whole layer of perlite because when I received the leaf, it had no roots. It was just a fresh cut. And so when I nestled it in here, it was like over here. Um, and my thought process was, well, it'll start to put out roots and then it'll make its way to the bottom. And sure enough, it did. I think it's due for an upgrade relatively soon. Has really great roots, but that's one of my favorite things about the plant, not only that it looks odd, but it has red roots. So these roots are like this really bright red color, really beautiful. And yeah, they're all over the substrate. So it's not root bound yet, but I do see like there's like two big roots that are kind of circling along the edge. So it's getting close to me having to uh, kind of upgrade it. And what I'm thinking is actually kind of doing the same thing, but just in a slightly larger container. So putting a little bit more substrate, of course, because now it has established roots, but keeping this layer of perlite on top. Um, and I kind of want to keep it growing that way, just to see. But it's been doing really wonderfully, and yeah, I really love this plant. Um, I finally saw it in January. So I got it from a private seller in the Bronx, and it was just a one leaf cutting. I had never seen the plant before. I had never heard of it before. I had never seen it before, like nothing. And I finally saw another one, and it was on sale in Westchester, here in New York. And it was actually at an animal expo. So it was a reptile expo, and now, a lot of folks are getting into terrariums. And so there were a lot of tables and booths that were all like terrarium plants. And I saw it and I ran over to it and I was like, is this a Crassinervium? And they're like, yep. And I was like, yep, that is really cool to see because I had never seen it anywhere before. So I'm so happy that it's happy. It's been putting out growth regularly. I haven't had any issues with it other than falling and hurting it. And still, it was very resilient. So it definitely forgave me for that. And it just continues to push out growth. So if you happen to, oh, Suzanne, that I have a plant maternity ward. Yes. Oh, absolutely. I really love, I think that's one of my favorite things about plants is starting them from propagations. I think it's mostly because I get to experiment. I get to kind of play around and try something different. And so, yeah, I really, really love, I love that aspect of it. And I have a bunch of other cuttings that I still have to, so that's why I was setting up that other tray. So there's a bunch of other cuttings. There are some that I get, whoop, here we go, that I get from like plant swaps where people are just like sharing cuttings. There's one cutting that I got that I want to propagate. It looks like it had started to get a root. This was from over the weekend. Um, and so it is a fresh cutting, but it looks like it had started to get a little root and then it dried out. So this can happen. So you want to, when you do these cuttings, you want to let the plant callus, kind of create like a little scab. But sometimes you'll be surprised. It could be within like 48 hours, even, just like 2, 3 days. You might already start to see what's called a wound root, so an adventitious root starting to form. But they're very tender, and so they can very quickly dehydrate. And so this is an epiphyllum, so it's a type of cactus, a rainforest cactus, and it is curly, so it has this mutation that it grows in like spirals. It grows in this, so this is how the leaf would kind of look, very roughly, kind of moving, very like serpentine. And I'm excited to start this one. I've started a lot of the like zigzag cactus that they call fishbone cactus. I'll actually show you that. And I've started a lot of epiphyllums as well. So like I have another epiphyllum. I think this is the oxypetalum, but this one doesn't have that type of mutation. So you can see this is basically how they are regularly. And this leaf, so it just has that mutation where it just grows really funky in comparison. Um, but yeah, this one's already pushing out a bunch of growth, has some roots here. I'm considering cutting this. But yeah, these will climb. So in the wild, I saw a bunch of them when I was in Central America, and both in El Salvador and Costa Rica, these are growing on trees, and they kind of grow like vines, so they like stick flat onto the trees. It looks really, really neat. But here we usually you find them kind of in hanging baskets. So that's how that one bit has been. But I definitely want to see if I can like put it on a pole or something. Let me grab the oh, meow to you too, Mozart. Mozart is currently sleeping, lounging on the bed, belly up, enjoying the fan. Here we go. So this is a zigzag cactus. Look at that. I love these. These are also really funky. So of course, I really, really like it. But I've had so much success starting these from cuttings. They root really well. They're wonderful. They grow really, really fast. And so yeah. Yes, yes. Yes, it is a stem. Yep. It is a stem. George, you're completely correct. Yes, we colloquially will call them leaves, right? But this is indeed a modified stem. You might see them called, well, also phylloclade, but I think some people call them cladodes. I think that's another word for it. But I know there's like two terms that people use. But yes, it is a flattened modified stem that is capable of photosynthesis. Um, but yeah, it looks like a leaf. And so, like the same with these little cuttings, these are not true leaves. So these are not true leaves. There are, I think, one or two cactus species that actually produce what could be considered true leaves. What a lot of cactuses do is that their needles are actually modified leaves, which was really interesting. But there are other succulents that look very much like cacti that do produce leaves. For instance, euphorbias. So euphorbias, they have thorns, not needles, but they do also produce leaves. So I have a lot of, I collect euphorbias, and there's this one, the Tricoli here. I think the Stenoclada might be a little hard for me to move. Hold on, let me. I don't want to. I have a giant Opuntia next to it. Oh, you know what? I'll bring this because then I can show the needle. I'm just trying not to get myself stabbed. I have gotten myself stabbed too many times to count. But this is an Opuntia, for instance. Look at those needles. This is this cactus. Oh my God, I've had it. I don't even know how long now. This was like pre-COVID. This plant has to be like at least 5. It might be even 6 years old. I love it. I love it. It grows, and the petals have grown in like this heart shape that I just love. And it has this really beautiful kind of purple along the edge, because it's right up against the kind of blushes along the edge. Um, and I love it. It's been wonderful. But it is the cactus that I own with the largest, like longest needles. So you could just see how insane. Yes, George, yes, I have an apartment. All my plants are growing indoors. I do plant stuff outdoors for clients and things. And I help yeah, people with their outdoor plants, but I live in an apartment. And so we have a couple of flower pots in the front, but the landlord is particular. And so, yeah, I can really only restrict all my growing here. And this is indoor. This is indoor. And it's been really happy. It is right up against the window, and of a western window. And look how gorgeous. I really love this plant. And I just think the needles are so cool because I had never seen needles this long on a cactus, and so I had to get it. Because look, like that keeps going. That just goes all the way here. This is just like, hold on. Yeah, this is one needle. Look at that. So I have stabbed myself several times. I know Brian has stabbed himself. And another thing, unfortunately, about these guys is that they also have glockids. And so glockids are these teeny tiny little, they kind of look like splinters. They're so tiny, and they kind of live like right in these little notches there, and they're clustered, kind of like that. And so if you brush up against them, they stick into your skin, and it's just really hard to get out. Yeah. Sometimes I use tape. Duct tape tends to work really well. Of course, what's not pliers, tweezers, tweezers, of course, but then you can't get them all, and it agitates the skin. So it's best to try to avoid it if you can. But sometimes there are accidents. There was, I think it was like 2 months ago. I even had like a little Opuntia that I have in the room. I was watering it, and it fell. And instinctually, I reached out to catch it and got my hand full of glockids. Um, so that's what I got there. But yeah, so really cool. But these are technically modified leaves. These are like true needles. These are true needles. This is a true cactus. And then you have these succulents. So one rule of thumb is, remember, like succulents, and then is like the umbrella, and then there are stem succulents, and that cacti is under that umbrella. So all cacti are succulents, but not all succulents are cacti. And so there are differences. Now, do people call a lot of succulents cacti? Absolutely. Even common names, you'll see it on tags. It'll say cactus, but it's not. And there are even some plants that aren't even under the umbrella of succulents that are still called succulents colloquially. Um, Try to say that 3 times fast. That word always gets me. But as I mentioned, this was actually an old little flower here. This is a Euphorbia trichale, also known as fire sticks. This one had flowered recently, and the flower died. Oh, it's hard because now it's dried out and it's beige, basically like the color of my skin. So I know it's really hard. Yeah, it's hard to see, but you could see that these have little leaves on, and these are true leaves. And so this is a euphorbia. And so it's not a cactus, but a lot of euphorbia species are called cacti. So one common name for a lot of euphorbias is the African milk cactus. And that's because they have a white latex that's present in the plants that is exuded from a wound. So if you accidentally were to snap it off, or if you're like purposely pruning it back, it will exude this white latex. And please keep in mind, it can cause contact dermatitis. You want to make sure you're using gloves if you're handling a euphorbia that is potentially injured, or you're gonna injure it in some way, like you're gonna repot it. Because even just breaking one of the thorns off can cause the white latex to come out. So like for instance, this let me put this Opuntia back before it falls off my desk and stabs me in the leg. 1 second. But here we go. This oh, you know what? Let me put this Philodendron crassonervium, because as you can see, the weight distribution, and so I have it on a shelf, and the shelf kind of holds it up here, so I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, this is definitely, if I leave it on my desk, it's just gonna fall forward. Hey, Mozart. Let me put this little guy back. Yep. Here we go. Yeah, my Stephania, I think I had shown you guys a couple weeks ago, um, that looked like a potato, and it was growing a vine, and I think the vine was like that big. It is now growing so much, and the leaves are getting like that big, and it's growing up the window. I'll see if I can bring the laptop over. Hello, you're sitting in my seat. I don't. Oh, you can't see him. Yes. Here we go. Just to show you. So this is one of my euphorbias, and this had been injured, and you can just see how it dried on there. So that don't mind the broken nail, but it had gotten injured, and that white sap residue actually dried right there, and it kind of looks like whiteout. So it doesn't harm the outside of the plant itself, but it can harm you. And so there are some cases of certain species, especially in because they're hello, they have a lot of them are native to parts of Africa, where they have been documented to actually cause blindness. So if you were to kind of get get it cut, and then get a cut, have it come out, that sap come out, and then you get it on your hands, and then you rub your eye. So keep that in mind. Oh, and before I forget, so this is our Chaco El Chaco Red. We had got it as a one leaf cutting, I think it was. Yeah, it was a one leaf cutting. That mother leaf passed away. This was that next leaf that we had gotten. So this is the current main big leaf. Then we got this leaf. And they have this really pretty, let me see if I could turn this, because it's like has like a rosiness to it. Hard to get on camera there. Maybe here. Yeah, you can kind of see that rosiness. And look at that new leaf that's coming out. So it's bright red right now. And here we go on this side. I love the veins on this. So it's gonna be a nice size. So it'll open up. I think it's gonna be about the same. It's gonna end up kind of being a little bit around this size. So it's gonna open up and kind of fill out a little bit more. So I think it might be close in size to here. Right now it's still a wrinkly half open thing. But it's gonna look great, and I just love how red it is. So what's happening is that the plant is pumping a bunch of anthocyanins into the new leaves. And so this red tint is you're seeing kind of has all these like full of like antioxidants. And this is to protect the leaf. So protect it from sun damage, protect it from drying out, so from dehydration. So quite a couple reasonings for that kind of like chemical cocktail. And so a lot of young philodendrons or monstera, when they put out their new leaves, and it's other species too, ficus, so many species. You might even recognize this in a lot of your garden plants, even poison ivy. Does this thing where the new leaves, when they emerge, they have like that pink color. Now, not all plants do this, but there are a really large amount of plants, and so this is something that you can definitely witness, and don't need to get like a special plants just to see this. You can see this in really common garden plants, where the first growth is this really red pink color, and then it just let me move the curtain. I don't want it to mess with the new leaf. Um, but yeah, you can definitely see that. Whoop, let me move that there. All right. Yeah, no, I've been having so much fun this growing season so far. It's been really good. Mozart, I really need my seat back. Hold on. You're just staring at me. Papa, oh, you see that? I love you too, but I need my seat. Oh, okay, hold on. Come, come, up. No, here we go. Then you're gonna move. Okay, I don't know what to do. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Whoops. Hey, buddy, come on. Okay, there we go. Sorry. He did not want to budge. Yeah, he was not excited there. Oh, and then the last experiment was this. So it's in a Ziploc bag. I bought it and they put it into a Ziploc bag, and I've kept it in the same Ziploc bag because it's been happy. It's been several weeks. I kind of want to leave it in the Ziploc bag. I was considering putting it in a dome, but then I was like, I don't know. I feel like the Ziploc bag is keeping it happy, and so um, I'm not sure yet how if I'm gonna switch out its current living situation. But for now, this seems to be doing the trick. So just a Ziploc bag, you can see the condensation on it. But these are carnivorous plants. These are sundews. And so I actually got these for free. I went to a plant swap. They've been holding more and more plant swaps in my area, so I'm always really, really excited. Um, but yeah, these are sundews. You could see them here, and there's 5 of them. And the base is some terrarium sand, very fine sand with a layer of it's a mix of like peat and coco coir. And all you do is put distilled water, only distilled water. I use a little squeeze bottle, and I just wet this little part right there, and I let this substrate soak that up, and that's it. Um, I've tried to catch any, like if I see a fruit fly or something, I try to catch them to put them into the bag. But The person who these were all sprouted from seed, which is really cool. She told me that if you're in a pinch and you don't have any fungus gnats and you don't have any fruit flies, what you can do is actually feed them bug bites. And so if you have fish, you know what I'm talking about. But bug bites, I think I put them here. I did put them here. So we have guppies and we have goldfish. And so this is the brand is Bug Bites. And so these are these little pellets that are made of bug protein. And so it's a great way to supplement your fish's diet with that. Um, and what you can do is you take one little piece and you wet it. You put it like into a little cup or something and you wet it. And you can use either a toothpick, you can use a paintbrush if you have a very thin, fine paintbrush, and you kind of wait for it to disintegrate. And then you take and kind of paint the little leaves on your sundew. And so the sundew, it's really hard to see up close like that, but basically these little green, neon green leaves are covered in these hairs that exude a type of sticky sap at the tip. So it's like there's a perpetual drop of water kind of at the very tip of them, but it's very sticky. And so what happens is when a unsuspecting flying insect were to go and land on that leaf, it gets stuck. And it actually releases these digesting enzymes in through its leaf to break down the insect and then take in the nourishment that way. So it works very much like a Venus flytrap, except Venus flytraps, they use their traps and close it and then they release their digestive enzymes. These guys, it's the leaf. It just kind of happens in open air. So it's very, very cool. But you can supplement using bug bites, which is really neat. And so if you're like, I am not getting fruit flies, I am not feeding this thing live stuff, you don't have to. You can still have them, and it's super cool and neat. But you can just do it this way. So this was a really cool hack I learned. I was not aware that you could supplement with that kind of stuff. I was kind of worried, even though I got them for free. I was kind of worried about like, well, I wonder what I'm going to end up having to feed them because we don't really have fungus gnats. Um, so maybe the odd one here and there if we get like a new plant. But we really don't get fungus gnats. And I was like, oh man, and I see like the odd fruit fly now during the summer, but that's it. We always have bananas in the house, and so I'm like, oh man, I don't what am I gonna feed it? And just as I was taking my stuff, I was like, well, what do I feed it if I can't get bugs? And she was like, you know what, bug bites. And I said, well, I have bug bites. So that works perfectly. So yeah, so if maybe that might be encouraging for folks that want to have carnivorous plants, but don't want that type of carnivory in the house. You don't want to get crickets. You don't want to get fruit flies and things like that. Um, yes, George. Yes, yes, yes. I do indeed have experience growing cebus. They're also called cebus. Yes, the blue pothoses, absolutely gorgeous. Brian, I'll see if I can take it out of his plant cabinet. He has a like a tank that has like these double doors in the office. I'll see if I can grab his variegated one because it's so pretty. And it's been growing like nuts. But yes, you can definitely pick them up. The one thing I have noticed is, well, I should say two things. One is I wouldn't recommend putting it right up against a window, like what's it called? Like a western or southern window. I would I would suggest if you have like an eastern window or if you have a western or southern window to just have it pulled back. They do scorch really easily. So they scorch really easily and they tend to So yes, they like bright light, definitely. But it just, depends on the intensity of your exposure. Oh, Tanya, are you showing, is that your Cebu? Hold on. Oh, there we go. Oh, can't hear you. Hold on. Ask to unmute. Let's see.
So, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yep. Let me add the
Yeah, it's
spotlight.
funny. I was just getting ready to ask a question, and this actually is a west window. There's a building across the street. I live in Manhattan, Washington Heights, and that's a Cebu Blue, which I got as a like a little snip from a plant swap last year. And I put it in this window and I went crazy. And this I got at Home Depot. It was like $3 and it was a little thing. And I've cut this many times to take the plant swaps. This is a Pearl and Jade and
Yeah.
Pearl.
Oh, that's
So
great.
yeah, so it's got this little tree, but it's done really well. This is a west facing window. And just it's funny that he asked because I wanted to ask a question about a different plant
Uh-huh.
because I was out of town for the last 2 weeks, so I just literally got back yesterday. So I had the sheer blind down, and I have this Ansoniate Monstera Ansonii that I got also as a one leaf clipping into plant swap, and I got a new row light about 4 months ago, and I thought maybe these were burn marks from the plant, so I moved it.
Mm-hmm.
But I see when I got back that it is almost on all the leaves now. It's just like on two little lower leaves that are gone. And now like all the leaves have like that, I don't know if it's like a fungus or something. There's like these brown patches and these just
Mm-hmm.
discoloration. Can you see it?
Yeah,
Is the lighting good
kind of.
enough?
Yeah.
There's some kind of weird discoloration. So I'm like, is this some kind of fungus or what? These little blotches. And I think it's better on the older ones, but it really took over since I was gone for 2 weeks. So I was just wondering, is this a fungus or what I can do to treat it? Because I thought that was like sunburn, maybe,
Yeah,
or I
and
had
so
spilled something on it.
sometimes it can take some time for sun damage to actually show in the plant, similarly to like
Okay.
cold damage, where sometimes you look at the plant and you had it out and it was freezing, you're like, oh, you and it looks fine when you bring it in, and then the next day you're like, oh no.
Okay.
So it can happen with sun damage as well. Um, so sometimes it can show. It's very particular because yes, you're completely on like the right kind of track where when you see those brown patches kind of happening, they're not just like at the edge, it's kind of happening like within the leaf. That
Mm-hmm.
can be indicative of fungus. Um, is it when you touch it, does it feel more like parchment or does it have kind of like a soft kind of wet texture to it? So that tends to be a big indicator. If it feels kind of like parchment paper, kind of like that, like a dry, not necessarily crispy, but like
It's crispy or like nothing. I mean,
okay.
someplace any
So
different.
then so it could be sun damage.
Okay.
Usually if it is the fungus, then it will be a little bit more softer to the touch, and you could even end up accidentally poking a hole through the plant because it gets really, really thin because the fungus is basically breaking down the layers
Okay.
of the dermis of the leaf. Um, so it could be sun damage
Okay.
that it just took a couple days to kind of show through unfortunately. But I mean, usually if you start to see kind of like a bullseye where it starts to kind of extend, that's also indicative to for a fungus. um there are also types of bacteria that do that as well, that cause like ring spot diseases and things like that. But again, it tends to like grow like from it's like a bullseye, and then it's like it grows like ripples outward. So if you're not seeing that, and it's like okay, it's shown up, but now it's kind of like just there. That could just indicate that it was just sun damage that took a couple days to show,
Okay.
or light damage, like if it was in front of like a grow light. Brian had that happening with his I think his tie. his Monstera Thai. He had it growing in the cabinet, and it grew too close to the light, to the grow light, and it started getting burns, and so he moved it out. But now it's still, even like days after he moved it out, some of the damage showed up, and it took a couple days to show. But yeah, so if just keep an eye. If it's not growing, then it should just be kind of like that sun damage, what they'll call like bleaching and things like that, that happens on the leaves.
Okay, so then this is a low light plant then? Because it's like I usually
Well,
keep it there, which is way back from the window.
mm-hmm.
I
So I
had it
mean,
over on the stand before.
mm-hmm.
So but I moved it like months ago. And when I was gone, there was even less light in here. So that's sort of weird that it would show up when there was getting less light.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
yeah. They're kind of like a medium light, and so they can get burned if you have them by the window. Like they can grow in lower light conditions, definitely, but they don't necessarily thrive. So it's kind of like a medium where you can have it like pulled away from. They like kind of that full range of light, but
Mm-hmm.
like pulled away. So they can get kind of like that bright ambient kind of light when they're pulled away, um, versus like right up against the window, they might start to burn, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if it was a fungus, is fungus contagious? Like if it touches these other
Ah,
leaves, will it spread?
yes. Yes, so
Okay.
fungus is contagious. It's also if like you touch the leaf and then you touch another plant, so you can end
Gotcha.
up being a vector. So just make sure you wash your hands between like touching the plant, so you don't pass along anything. And so yeah, that's one thing humans, unfortunately, when we're working with our plants, we can, just so everyone knows, you can pass pests. So if you have like an aphid is on your hand and you don't know, and you go to another plant, you can contaminate your plants with pests. You can contaminate them with bacteria, viruses, and fungus. And also plant to plant touching. So if they're next to each other and one of those leaves is touching another plant, that can also transfer, again, everything, pests, viruses. So if you're working with a plant and you're kind of unsure, like, is this just, some like damage, or is this something like contagious? Just make sure to wash your hands after, before, um, yeah, touching another leaf, even on the same plant, because it can transfer over. So I would just say, just kind of look to just see if it's growing. If it's not, and you're even worried that, hey, maybe it is a fungus, you can get either a copper or sulfur based fungicide. There are some that are a combo of sulfur and copper based, and you can get them. You don't need to use a lot, and you can do that. Another home remedy, if you can't get like your hands on fungicide, is some baking soda. So if you use like a little paintbrush, you can even use a Q-tip if that's what you have, but just dip it into the powder and kind of brush it, basically, like it's as if you're
Okay.
painting the area on the leaf on the top and the bottom. And that messes with it makes that whole area much more alkaline, like more basic. And so
Mm-hmm.
that actually disrupts any fungal growth. And so
Okay.
that's a quick fix for folks. If you have some fungus, it might not kill the fungus, but it kind of stops the rate of growth. So if you're trying to like save the rest of the plant or something, it's a cool home remedy to try, if you're in a pinch.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Because yeah, it
You're
is
very
still growing.
welcome.
There's new growth. I mean, it is growing. And okay, because this plant light was not on for the last 2 weeks.
Ah,
All
it's
right. Thank you so
beautiful
much.
though. You're very
Yeah, it's
welcome.
lovely. Lovely plant. Great cutting.
Yeah, no, they grow really well. They grow really fast.
Yeah.
And George, yes, you were asking about if it's easy to propagate the cebus. Yes,
Oh yeah, very
absolutely.
easy.
Very, very, very easy. I'm gonna see if I can bring out Brian's variegated one. Hold on one second.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. It's very, very pretty. I actually have a Cebu cutting that, funny enough, did get burned. Whoops, here we go. And whoop, here we go. This one did get burned, so I moved it away. So even though our western window, we're in a court, like there's a courtyard. So for folks who have western windows, and then you have like Tanya, you have like a building there, this helps because it's an obstruction. It's an obstruction, so there isn't like necessarily like a clean line of sight all the time. And so it helps kind of diffuse the light a little bit, so it's not as strong. But Western light can get really strong, especially during what they call golden hour. So it's like around 5 p.m. ish. The sun, you might notice like in your homes that like it'll hit the light rays will kind of spread. Maybe you'll see them on the floor. This is a favorite time for our cats. They like to find the the sunshine at that time and just bask in it and sunbathe. But during that time, it can be very like the sun is kind of concentrated, and it can burn plants. And so this is what happened to this Cebu cutting that I have. I had it in the western window, and then the poor thing got burnt. So this is an example of the leaf bleaching. So you see, it's like very kind of like a white. But yeah, it just gave me this new leaf. But this was a cutting that had no roots that I got at a plant swap. And it's been putting roots out, and it's been doing really great. It put out this really itty bitty leaf it hasn't opened fully yet, but it put out this teeny tiny leaf there. But yeah, this unfortunately was a burn victim. And yeah, this I was like, all right, I should definitely move this back. And so this happened right when it was just a one leaf cutting. So, but they root really, really quickly. One thing I would say, George, is because you said like, should you let it dry between waterings or keep it moist? So yeah, and what does uh yeah, and what does that mix look like? So you want it to be a very chunky mix, like other pothos mixes. So something with like what I like to use is a base of succulent mix, and then I mix in coco coir. I put in some type of like either leca. I use like either the clay balls, or I'll add more perlite. So it's just there's a lot of drainage, but with Cebus, they like to be a little bit more moist from what I found than like from my other pothos. And so what I do is as soon as it's getting dry, the leaf shape changes. So it starts to kind of look like a little sad. Now you don't want to wait until it's really sad and the leaves are curling up. You don't want to wait that long, but it definitely will give you a visual indicator. So a lot of regular, like the more common pothos, like the jade pothos, the golden pothos, these they can put up like being bone dry and be fine for a couple days, even like a week, just bone dry before the next watering, before they really start showing you that they're really dehydrated. Cebus, I find that as soon as it was getting dry, then it started showing, and then I would give it a good bottom watering. So I would recommend bottom watering it so it gets fully, fully saturated. In the summers, I find that I'm watering at least once a week, and that's with the AC on and stuff. So at least once a week. In the winters, it could be a couple more days before the whole thing got like completely dry. Maybe like 10 days or so. But yeah, they were definitely thirstier than my Scindapsuses and my other pothos, but they're beautiful. And they grow really great. So yeah, it's a well draining mix. But you want to have a little bit more moisture retainment in there. So if you have peat, you can add just a little bit in there. That will lock in a little bit more moisture. Also wood chips, things like that. Some more organic materials will definitely hold in moisture better. But you still want it to be very well draining. So you just don't want it to kind of be sitting in a mud. You want a lot of air pockets. Um, and yeah, they grow really, really well. Like you could get that basket at Home Depot, and they're really wonderful, really, really wonderful. Um, oh yeah, George, what's golden hour? Like 5 p.m. in the summer. Yeah, so basically, it's when it's like right before sunset. It's like the sun. It's usually yeah, it's coming from the west, but basically it kind of just it increases in intensity, and so it can cause like a lot of light to just come through your windows around that time. It kind of illuminates. It's a really beautiful. Um, it really looks, and it's called golden hour for that reason. It just kind of bathe. It's like a whole different light that comes in. It's really, really beautiful, but it can be very strong during that time. And so if you have plants right against your window, you want to keep that in mind because some plants can actually get burned during that time, even if it's a short window of really intense sunlight. And so, for instance, in our western windows, like I basically have a lot of succulents in there. And if I have any foliage plants, like we have our El Chaco, but it's about, I want to say, 2 feet away from the window and off to the side. So it's not like getting like full on blasted. It's like off to the side. And we also have a sheer curtain as well. So if especially in the summers, if it feels like it's a little too strong, I can just I have little ties on the side, so I just undo the ties and let the shades, kind of the curtains kind of come and diffuse that light a little bit more, just to avoid any potential burning. But I want to show you. Brian has a variegated um Cebu. Hold on, that's really, really gorgeous. Let me see if I can grab it real quick. Can I borrow your epiprenum real quick just to show what it looks like? Here we go. All right, give me 1 second, guys. Yeah, it's really it's long. I'm trying to. There we go. Oh, it even has a new leaf coming. All right, I'll be right back. So one cool thing about the cebus is that they fenestrate fairly early. So fenestration is when they get those holes in the leaves and stuff, those kind of rips in the leaf, it looks like, that are natural, like that. They get them when they're still fairly small. And so a lot of these different types of like pothos, um, well, this is a pothos, but it's an epiprenum, but they used to be called pothos, but they're still called pothos like as a common name. They also fenestrate, but usually they have to get much bigger. And for these guys, they can still relatively small and start to fenestrate. So it gives them like a really cool aesthetic appeal. I really love the look. But this is a variegated one, and it's just so variegated and has all these fenestrations. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's just been. I know I showed this plant a couple months ago, I think, and I think it was only up. Yeah, it was like up to here. It was just like hanging off like one leaf here, and it's grown so much. It's amazing, and it has these really cool aerial roots now. So Brian is wanting to stake it up because it's gonna be ready. It's gonna be ready soon. Um, it's so, so beautiful. Really love this. But like others in this type of Lepidopteran panatum, it dries out fairly quickly in comparison. Like it can't withstand drying out completely. It will start to look very sickly and it needs just a little bit more moisture. Then like I think they have a thinner leaf. Also notice that like some of the stems are just a little bit thinner. And so they just seem to lose water fairly quickly in comparison to like more robust type of pothos. Like for instance, like this is the global green, for instance, like this. This, I have forgotten to water it sometimes, and it will be completely bone dry, and it won't even look like it's thirsty. It'll be completely fine. And then I realize, oh my gosh, I have to refill this. And then I refill it and it's fine. So I wouldn't be able to do that with my Cebu cutting. So like the little one, if that starts to dry, it tells me it looks really sad. I can't do that. But these seem to be a little bit more forgiving from my own experience. This is what I found. It's just, yeah, the panadums, they just seem to be, and this is Epiprenum aureum, aureum, I think it's aureum. And so those that break out into all of these really cool varieties that we like, marble queens and all of that, they're all like kind of taken from that same species. They're just different varieties. But I found that they are just a little bit more tolerant of drying out, in comparison to the Epiprenum panadums. They're just a little more tedious, but this one has a new leaf coming in. Yeah, it's been doing really great. Brian has it in a tank. It's a 20-gallon long terrarium with these double doors, and so he has his plants in there, and they love it. They love it. And he has a fog machine. And so it makes it look really creepy because the fog sinks because of the weight. And so it looks like I keep, when he puts it on, I was saying it looks like a graveyard because it's like this low fog. And then you see just like the plants, but like this really creepy fog kind of going through. Um, and it looks really neat though, and it's been great. It's been keeping them really, really happy. So yeah, they're doing wonderfully. Um, oh yeah. I'll set it here, and then when you go back in the office, um, here we go. But yeah, yeah, yeah. Really gorgeous. Right, great variegation. And I love, like, I mean I love half moon leaves. I know Brian does too. Um, so so for folks who don't know, half moon usually is like one side of the leaf tends to be the original color of the plant. And then the other side of the leaf is like very like very variegated, very kind of splashy. So I think this one is more of like an actual half moon, so it's much more green. This isn't like a complete half moon because there is some variegation right on the edge there, and same with this leaf, but it has that half moon look that I really, really like. But then it just these gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous leaves, like almost completely white with some green. Really, really beautiful. Thank you. Brian is a variegation fiend, so all of his plants are variegated. That's basically what he specializes in, is variegated plants. I love variegation, but I'm like more with weird cacti and succulents. Um, oh, sorry, Suzanne, if you lost volume. I hope it's good now. Yeah, I tend to like these kind of odd succulents. I like to specialize in. I love aroids. So I mean, I have a lot of aroids. This is the golden dragon that I got a few weeks back, and it just put out a new leaf, but it was growing in this really weird way. I like it, so I'm just in it. So I put it here, and it's been doing really, really great. And this is the Baltic blue, actually. And over the weekend, I actually painted this. So these shelves I've had for years now, but they were black. And I was like, I don't know, I kind of want to see what it would look like if it was just white. So I have to do another coat. I put it back on just to kind of see if I liked it, and I like it. So I still have to paint this one. So right now you're seeing it mid transition. I did one to kind of test it out, and I'm gonna do one more coat on that. I like the feel better, having it like the white on white, the white pots on the white shelf, and versus the black. I liked the black because I had these prints with these black frames. And so I was like, oh, it's cohesive. But I don't know. I've been thinking about painting it white for a while, and so I gave it like a one coat, let it dry just to kind of see and sit with it. And I like it. Let me know what you guys think. But I am gonna be painting the other one white because I do like it. So I have that white on white. And then this is the dragon. Oh, and that's the Maxima. So the little philodendron Maxima that's up there. Um, yeah, also has was growing like out of the pot, and I'm gonna let it grow like that because it I like that look. I really like that look. So I'm gonna let it go. Um, oh, good, Suzanne. Yeah. So and now I'm thinking like, do I want to paint these frames white? I don't know. Kind of went a little crazy with the white. But I don't know. I feel like with the light, it just makes it, I don't know. It looks cool. So I'm considering. I'm considering. Um, oh wow. Oh, that's a great question, Suzanne. So how can you tell a pothos from a philodendron? So it's very much how the leaf sits. I know that's going to sound weird. Let me see if I can actually. Oh, this works. Oh yes, I have a little philodendron Brazil here. Um, so if you look at how the leaf sits on the petiole, so this little stem here is the petiole. So it kind of think of it like it's like a shield. So here's the stem, and the philodendron kind of lays like kind of like flat on that stem. So you see, kind of like it's like it hangs off. And so you see this a lot with even like some monsteras, some anthuriums, even. But you see this a lot with philodendrons. And so let me see if I can grab the maxima just to kind of boom, 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 boom. Let me not bring down everything. Yep. There we go. So you see how it kind of, here's the petiole, and then it kind of falls flat. So of course they can grow this way. Of course they can like go in. That's totally fine. But it's just the way that the leaf sits. So it comes to that central point, and then there's this kind of shield kind of look. Then while pothos, it's kind of a continuous thing. So you see, there isn't really like a break. It's more of like it just kind of curves. It's like it keeps going. It's like there's really no break in that current. Like you see, it kind of just keeps going. And they tend to sit kind of like this versus a shield kind of look. They tend to grow in this manner. So it's really how the leaf sits on that petiole, how that stem kind of grows, makes it look really, really different. Um, Also a little bit of the veining. I mean, of course, it depends on the philodendrons because and the pothos because it can be the veining is just slightly different. Let me see if I can. Oh, and another great thing is caterpillars. So caterpillars. So this is something that you'll see in philodendrons. You'll also see it in other aroids as well. Not all aroids, but some. Is the cataphyll. And so basically, when the new leaf is forming, it has this kind of protective covering that pulls away once that leaf is finally ready to emerge. It pulls away and it starts to turn kind of brown. It just dry off. So you see here, like you have, so every time a new leaf comes out, there's a cataphyll attached to it. And so it's like a little protective layer that's locking in the moisture on the leaf. It's kind of keeping it safe. And then it just hangs out like that. So you'll have more fresh caterpillars as well. And yeah, that's a really great indicator too, is caterpillars. Pothos don't have caterpillars, so they won't have that on their branches. So that's another really good indicator is if you find caterpillars on your vines, that you are dealing with a philodendron. Let me try to put this up here. Here we go. So this doesn't fall. But here you can even see here as well on the golden dragon. Here we go. Are the caterpillars. So you'll see it's kind of like a papery attachment that you'll see on the vines of your philodendrons that you will not see on your pothos. So yeah, that's another one. Cataphyll, I think you spelled it right, George. I believe it is cataphyll with a P-H-Y-L-L. Yeah, P-H-Y-L-L. Yeah, cataphyll. I think that's it might be one L actually. It might be one L. But yes, yes. So you can look that up. So it's like this protective sheath essentially that protects the leaf. And so that's another great indicator. But yes, it's really how the leaf sits. It like as you saw, like the pothos, it really is like a continuous, you really don't see a break. You see like you don't really see like the joint, it just kind of keeps going. Um, Same here, it's like there's no kind of stop. It just kind of keeps going, and the leaf is just it's like there. It's like it emerges from this continuous kind of stem, while the philodendrons there is a stop. It's like it grows to that point, and then the leaf kind of looks like you glued it, like a sign. There is a definite like stop, and it's not this continuous kind of growth. So I hope that makes sense. That's the best way I can kind of conceptualize it. It's just yes, that's how yeah, that's how they separate. Um oh, and the Florida too, I have seen that expo being shared. I'm seeing it's from the 21st to the 22nd. As of right now, I don't have tickets. I mean, it's something I would definitely be interested in going to. So I guess, yeah, I can talk to Brian about it and see if that's something that we may be able to do and maybe drive down there. We've driven to Florida a few times, and so if he's down for that type of trip, then we can definitely do that and then go check out. I've always wanted to go to a plant expo. So I've been to so many reptile expos. I've been to like other just exotic animal expos. And yeah, reptiles, amphibians, like geckos, like all these cool types of expos, but I've never been to a plant expo. So I definitely invertebrate expos, but I haven't gone to a plant expo. I want to go. They don't really do them here, so yeah, I have to go down south. But yeah, thanks for sharing. I didn't know when it was gonna be, but it's something I've always wanted to go to. I think I'm on their newsletter, so I get like the emails, but I didn't even realize the gosh, we're already in July. So it's not even that far away. Um, oh, that's awesome, and that your friend is going. I mean, I definitely recommend it if you're able to go, and especially if you have like a friend that you can go with. I think that's even more fun. That's awesome. Oh, Suzanne, I have a jungle of pothos then, all from a plant I got for my mom's funeral in 2019. Oof. Yeah, I mean, they propagate really well. I mean, both philodendron and pothos, but yeah, no, the rate of growth, yeah, you can easily fill your house up with just starting with one pothos. You can very easily end up with a jungle. And yeah, it's just cuttings. And so for those, that are even like in the pot, those are all like when you buy them from Home Depot, those are all individual cuttings. And so those will all grow, uh, these vines. And if you ever get vines that just are missing leaves, like you might get a lot of like big internodal space or something, that's usually a sign that it needs more light. But if you get like these really long vines that just have no leaves, you can, for those of you that might have those, you can cut those and propagate those separately. So you can just cut so that you have the node, and have that, plug that into some water and just get a bunch of them, get a bunch of cuttings. So you can absolutely do that. There's also things like keiki paste, which is for orchids. I'm currently trying it with my Esqueleto. I have a Monstera Esqueleto, and it gave me a really long runner. So it's just a vine that has gone behind our television, all around to the front of our television. It literally just did a circle, but it's just a vine. And so I kind of let it grow. I was kind of curious to see what would happen, but we are trying to use the keiki paste and see if we can start to generate some growth from those nodes, because it's such a cool plant. And I definitely would love, I mean, technically I could just cut the runner and then just propagate all of them, all the sticks essentially. But I want to try the keiki paste first and see if it'll stimulate some growth. Because yeah, it's really interesting. I like it. I like it. It looks odd. And the plant, I love that plant. Brian gave it to me as a birthday present a few years ago. And so I want to try it that way. Yeah, and with those vines too, if you have pothos that have vines that are like that, like runners, they're leafless. And you don't want to cut them off of the mother plant. You could put another pot with some dirt already next to the plant, next to the mother plant. You could take the vine and kind of make a circle on the soil, and you can use plant pins. So plant pins, they basically look like really long staples. So they're also called floral pins. And you can actually use that. You can put a couple in there just to hold the vine on that soil and just slightly dampen the soil. Don't completely saturate it because there's no roots. So you don't want that to stay wet all the time because it'll rot the stems. But you just want to kind of wet like the first inch or two of that mix. And then just keep an eye that, you know, as soon as it dries out, give it another a little squirt with some water. And it can stimulate because the nodes, they're in contact with the moist substrate. It can cause them to start to make roots, and then they will start to grow shoots and grow leaves. And then what you could do is then chop it. Once it's rooted, you can separate it by cutting it from the mother plant, and now you have a whole other plant. But it's a nice way to kind of do it in a transitional way where it's still getting its nutrition from and its water from the mother plant, because without the roots, it can't take in its own moisture. So that's something that we're taking as a risk when we're doing our cuttings, right? Is it has a limited amount of water in there. And so getting that plant to root as quickly as possible is paramount to its survival. And that's a really big reason why a lot of cuttings, you know, can shrivel and not propagate for us. And it's really about trying to get that timing down. And so from what I've found, yes, it can be as easy as popping it in water. You just want to make sure that the water is hitting that node, the node that you're wanting the roots to come from. So it just kind of needs to get activated. And there are other like you know, ways too. Of course, like putting it into like different substrates. You can try that. But yeah, there's just so many ways, but propagation is great. It's a really fun way to just, you know, fill your home with plants. And even better if you can, you know, like Suzanne, you can just cut from a plant and then, you know, that you already love, you already know how to take care of, and now you can make a whole army. And it's great. It's absolutely great. Oh, here we go. And Suzanne, they get so long, I have to trim regularly. I don't have a place to wind them up. I think the mother plant is all roots now. They root in water easily for me. Hate to throw them away. Oh yeah, no, I totally get you. I would say, you know, if you kind of have an overabundance of cuttings, you're like, okay, this is more than I can handle. Seriously, look, go if you're on Facebook, try to see if you have like a plant giving group, a plant swap. There are places that have like plant cutting libraries, where people will essentially go and drop off cuttings, and you can take a cutting and leave cuttings. There's some really cool things. Some plant shops do that as well. And even some people will buy them as well. So even if you're like, you know what? I want to, sell a couple of these. You can try like listing something on either like Etsy or, well, Etsy can kill you with fees. So maybe not Etsy, but like Facebook Marketplace or something like that, where you can just say, hey, um, I'm selling some cuttings. If you just want to give them away for free, especially now during the summer, there are so many people that like right on their porches, they put out like for free and they have a bunch of plant cuttings and it's just a way to try to get, like share them out because there's just too many. So that can absolutely happen. And you can do so there's a couple ways if you want to share your overabundance. If you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to throw them out, but I don't really know what to do with them. So you can totally see if there's like a cool giving away kind of option. I really like plant swaps. I think it's also an excuse to meet other plant people. So you can make connections, you can make really, really great friends, and by trying to find those types of groups. Um, or you can totally go entrepreneur with it and sell some if you'd like. You can absolutely do that. So people will buy them. We buy, especially during this time of year, this is cutting season. So from, I got like a bunch of those mystery boxes from like eBay with a bunch of succulent cuttings, and I keep an eye out for folks in my area that are selling cuttings. So for instance, even here I actually have this is a Syngonium cutting that I got a few weeks ago of a Batik, and I cut the leaf off because the leaf died back. And so I cut the leaf off, and it already has the growth. There you go, right there is growing. And I have a little interloper here. This is a a cutting from my little oh my gosh, string of pearls. I forgot the word for a second. Um, and it had a little root, and it had actually fallen. And I was like, okay, well, I'll root it. And it's been rooting in here along with this Syngonium Batik. Here I wrote Batik on there so I remember because I have one of these and I have the Albo. But this one is just in ceramsite, and yeah, it's putting out growth. And so people will buy even what these are called wet sticks. So this one was sold to me with a leaf, but some people will sell with no leaf. So they're just the nodes, and those are called wet sticks. Or if it's like a really big, like a Monstera one, they'll call them chonks. I've seen them advertised that way. So it's like when you get like really big plants, and so you just cut the node, and then they sell them as chonks. Oh, for us, George, when's cutting season? So it's like late spring into throughout the summer. And so I started really looking for cuttings like it was basically like late May, early June. That all of a sudden my marketplace on Facebook is flooded with cuttings, like all these listings for cuttings. And then you start to see outside flyers, a plant swap, and this all around. And yeah, you see them on Eventbrite and stuff like that. And so it definitely starts to pop off like late May, beginning of June. So right on the tail end of spring, at the beginning of summer. Um, and so like summer's when it starts like on the 20th or the 21st of June. And so yeah, so it's usually like that tail end of spring. But it's great. So then you can start a bunch of plants because right now is the growing season. So yeah, like June, July, and then August. Then towards the end of August, we're probably going to have a really long growing season. So September definitely still having stuff grow. For folks who have vegetables, that's usually around harvest time. Um, and but if you have house plants, they'll continue to grow. I've had a lot of my house plants that will continue to grow even into like the beginning of November if it's nice and humid and warm enough. Because sometimes we've gotten like some warmer temperatures, later when it's supposed to be like autumn. But, we've gotten that. And then gosh, I think it was like 2 years ago. I think we were wearing short sleeves on December 25th. It was like not even cold out. I think it was like 65, 70. So the growth season is definitely, can get extended. And so the plants are really happy. And then during the winter, you can continue the growing season if you have grow lights. You can definitely trick your plants into thinking that it's still the growing season, and they'll just keep growing. But there will be like a shift because the house won't be as humid naturally unless you're supplementing it with a humidifier. The temperature might also be, even if you have unless you have like really crazy heater, the temperature will fluctuate, and the plants kind of sense that. And I just noticed that they don't grow as much in the winter. They do grow, but not as much versus now. And I think especially because we have a lot of tropical species and there's so much humidity, I have not had to turn on any humidifiers. It's like crazy. I think right now it is, so here it says it's 80 degrees. It's not in the house right now, but I think it's because the humidity, it can feel the humidity. And yeah, with the lights and stuff. So, but 52% humidity just in this area. But as you get closer to the windows, it's definitely higher. And in our bedroom gets a lot more humid, and the office gets a lot more humid. It's like so we keep, the doors open, air circulation. We have the AC going just to kind of reduce that a little bit because it's a lot. It's a lot. The plants are happy, but we also need to be comfortable. So we try to balance it out so that the animals are happy, and then the plants are happy, and we're happy. So so yeah. So that's we it's a little balancing act, but so far so good. But all right. Thanks so much, everyone. And I really wanted to show you like these propagation process, especially because this is what I'm in full gear here doing this. So I wanted definitely to share that with you. And yeah, I still have a bunch of these cuttings that I have to put into these little propagation chambers. I'm not sure, this should root for me, but I'm really excited about this one. So this is an ogre ear. So this is a jade, but it has a mutation. It's a monstrose type of mutation, which makes it kind of look very cup-like and curved. So these are what they call Shrek ears, or you might see them called ogre ears, but they are a jade plant. And so I received this just like that. And so I'm hoping it'll root because it's one of my favorite types of jades. And this one really, really looks like Shrek's ear. And I'd love to grow this out a lot more. So I've never propagated an ogre ear. I've propagated so many jades, but never an ogre ear. So I'm excited to try that because I've never seen like a little one. So uh wish me luck. I'm hoping. But yeah, but thanks so much everyone for coming and hanging out. And I hope if any of you have cuttings or starting your propagations, sending you good, all the fairy dust, all the plant fairy dust your way. I'm hoping that they're, growing really, really well. And definitely let me know. I always love any excuse for pictures. Um, yes, you're right. Suzanne says you can probably get containers at a delicatessen. Yes. I really think and I mean, these work really well also for succulents. And like if you wanted to do your pothos cuttings, you can actually use this type of setup as well. So you could use leca, you could use perlite. Some people just put sphagnum moss. That works too. I would just say some type of drainage layer and then put the sphagnum moss. And then you can put your bunch of pothos cuttings if you like. And this kind of locks in that moisture and it makes a prop box. So you can have a bunch of, it kind of quickens it. So you could totally do that. But yeah, I know I can totally get a couple of these from from like a delicatessen or things like that. But yeah, I'll keep you guys updated on the moss. I'm really happy with it. and it's really growing super, super well. I don't know. I never thought I'd grow like this much moss, but now I have several containers of moss. And I want to grow different species. There's so many different types of moss. If you haven't read the book Gathering Moss by Robin Wall Kimmerer, I highly recommend it. Really beautiful book. She has Braiding Sweetgrass is her other book. Um, but really gorgeous. And she just talks all these splendid things about mosses. Um, but I definitely want to grow some different species. We have a friend of ours that lives a little upstate, and he has like 7 acres, and so they have their house and then a bunch of woods. And I love walking through the woods there because they have so many different types of mosses. And so I feel like going over there and collecting some different moss from different little areas in his forest so that I can start to populate and have some biodiversity in my moss collection right now. So but thanks so much, everyone. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Monday. And yeah, hope you have a wonderful week and hope your July is off to a good start and that you're keeping cool for those of you who are going through heat waves right now or being safe too if you're anywhere in the trajectory for hurricane season. But thanks so much for hanging out and yeah, I'll see you next week. Bye everyone. Bye for now. Bye.